In my introductions, I did not introduce Robert J. Melvin, the guy.
Woo! Yeah! Way to go, dude!
Robert, why don't you come down with Steve Wilson and Ron Underwood so we can give them the big round of applause. I think Robert would agree with me that an actor is nothing without a good script, and boy did these guys deliver. So thank you.
Woo!
How exciting. I think I'm going to turn the house lights up. Yeah, why not? Let's see. We want to see you for a change. All right.
Hey! What's up?
I think we're going to have some questions from the audience. Like, anybody?
Do you got a question, buddy?
My kids aren't allowed.
Yes, there's a question down here.
All right. I told Michael earlier, I may be the only person in this room who was born and raised in Owens Valley, where that was filmed. Anybody else represented? No. Okay. What I want to know is how in the hell did you find my corner of the world? Because nobody knew where it was before this movie came out.
Well, I knew that area from driving up to Mammoth Mountain for ski trips in my childhood. But and so I knew about the Alabama hills.
Right.
But we've actually scouted all over the western United States to find the perfect place, and we couldn't find a better place than the Owens Valley. That was the best. But it did have some weather issues.
Somebody was telling me, did it not snow on the first day of work?
It snowed on the first day. I was so afraid that everybody would be too hot and the cast would be covered in sweat, and it was snowing the first day.
Another question.
Isn't there anything that can go through rock?
Not bad.
Like maybe a future
Maybe
monster.
That's a good question, buddy. Very good.
I just didn't watch all the movies.
We'll get to him, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Well, it's funny. I was sitting on. I had a weird job early in my film career. I was editing films for the Navy on a Navy base that is in the middle of the desert, and it's out in near that same area. And on the base, you could hike around on the weekends when they were shooting and stuff. And I ended up sitting on a rock, and I made a note. I said, "Gee, wouldn't it be weird if there was some kind of like shark-like thing or something under the sand, and I couldn't get off this rock?" That note sat in a file folder for years until our agent, Nancy Roberts, said to me and my writing partner, Bert Maddock, do you have any, if you guys want to produce something yourself and have more control over it, you're going to have to start with a fresh idea of your own. Bring me some of your ideas. And I had that one idea and 3 others. And Nancy said, "Ooh, I like that land shark thing." And that's how it started. That's why we wrote the script. And Nancy was going to be here tonight, by the way. Nancy Roberts, she's the ghost behind Tremors. She's her agent, but she did endless things to set the movie up. She brought in Gail Ann Hurd. She brought in a specific executive at Universal Studios. And it's a shame she couldn't be here, but she had some other problems. Because like I say, there's a thank you credit to her way down in the credits. But she sort of ghost produced the movie. Yes?
First comment and then a question. I saw this in the theater 30 years ago, and it's amazing it holds up. And there are so many movies that are, from 30 years ago that are just dated, but this just, it's pretty amazing, and that's a really rare thing. What I didn't realize 30 years ago that I was thinking of tonight is, this is a Western. Did you guys think about that at the time? Was that like part of the plan?
Yes. It was a B-movie monster western.
You know, what I find fascinating about it, and I've always loved, is the fact that, you know, we think of sci-fi films and we think of darkness, night, you know, one lone house, don't open that door, all that sort of thing. This is set in the middle of the desert, almost entirely in daylight, which makes it very unique in that way.
You know, it's also, I'll add to that, you know, from film school, you know, it's considered one of the best structured in the history of film. They use it in USC film school, I believe, right? And it's also, that's right, yeah, you know, so from a structure standpoint, you know, Western movies, you know, and the ode to that, you know, it's significant in that aspect. Also, wasn't that the last movie before CGI studio film? Isn't that that
Yes, it sort of started taking off right after that,
Is that why we had the guys with the puppets?
Oh, all mechanical.
Do it again, do it again, do it again.
You really had to do it. Yeah.
Yes, practical effects. Now, since we are so fortunate to have Robert here, you've got to tell the story.
Oh, God.
The way to go story.
What's amazing is actually Glenn sent me a picture today of the moment you were like, yes, you said it. So I was doing a lot of movies at the time, and I remember he was like, Ron, I don't want to say this line. You know, my friends are gonna see it. One day my kids are gonna see it. I don't usually way to go, dude. He's like, come on. You're like, just say it one time. Like, no, come on. Like, just say it one time. I'm like, fine. Way to go, dudes. He's like, good, great. Moving on. You know, if you go on YouTube, there's like Backstreet Boys covers to it. There's like these weird house music mixes to it. Kids, I'm sorry. Come from 90s. I know. Pretty awesome.
We could surpass by the
Actually,
rec room line.
The rec room.
Way to go, Robert.
Way to go.
Yes,
Lots of hands back there. Point to somebody.
pick somebody. Yeah,
Red shirt.
Richard.
Speaking of structure, is there anything in the writing or things that got filmed that didn't make the final edit that you want to share a story about?
There were a few things. Ron, you may remember better than I, but
We opened with a scene with Edgar and Fred, the two old guys, and the studio didn't want to start the film with old guys. So, that we had a couple more scenes with Rhonda and Rhonda and Kevin and that relationship, and we felt we didn't really need it to tell the story.
and then our ending.
And the ending was the big one. Oh, that was a killer, because we loved our ending. It was a little more subtle. It was they actually made it out. They were going to Bixby finally, the two of them, and they pull out a cigarette and they don't have their lighter. They realize that the lighter is back with Rhonda, and Kevin does a U-turn and says, "Damn, that was a good lighter." And we really loved that ending, but
It was a writer ending.
but actually, I mean, I'm glad you all cheered when they kissed at the end, because the studio, that when we, in our first screening with a public audience, a preview audience, we had, the audience was really into it, and at the end, when they were having their talk at the truck, the audience started chanting, "Kiss her, kiss her, kiss her, kiss her." And the studio executive, the president of the studio, just said, "Oh, the audience will go mental if you just have them kiss at the end." So that's what led to a reshoot. And
Let me add.
yeah.
So we went back out to Perfection, which was gone. We gave the town to the local people, said anybody who wants any building materials, come in and take it. So when Val kisses Rhonda at the end, there is nothing there except that little piece of fence.
other big scene that we shot for that reshoot was about an earthquake.
Oh yeah.
And the studio had just been bought by a Japanese company, and in Japan they're really into earthquakes, supposedly. and the studio chairman thought it would be really great to open the film with an earthquake that explains, because they kept saying, where do these things come from? They were like the characters in the film, saying, the executives, where do these things come from? So they wanted us to have an earthquake that unleashed the creatures. And we did a whole earthquake scene, and we went. It was quite elaborate, and a coyote gets killed by a graboid right in the opening scene, and it affected the audience from then on, and they felt that we were mean to animals throughout the film. Nobody had ever mentioned that the horses were being eaten before, but then after we opened the film with that, it was really an interesting study in perception.
Yeah. Right here.
This is more of a request. Whatever power rights that you have over the Tremors franchise, please, for the love of all of us, do not let it be remade.
Yes. Woo!
I don't think there's a great danger of that. We're government survival. Oh gosh, people are all over. Way back there, the blue. Yeah.
Awesome. This is a question for Michael. Do you have any props still from the first movie?
You know, I don't. I have almost nothing. Of course, they won't let me keep the firearms because those are dangerous, and I probably, like Melvin, shouldn't have one.
I saw the jean shorts.
Wow.
My son's wearing them right now. Sorry, son.
I actually have almost nothing. A number of years ago, I got rid of a number of things on eBay, I think. I started to get rid of a few things on eBay. I just thought, what do I want with this old stuff? Well, I don't know. I guess I just got rid of it too soon, because little did I know how excited people would be to keep this thing alive. So no, I don't have very much. I gave away the original script of Tremors to the Lone Pine Museum, along with the back of my director's chair, and I don't know, one or two other things. A hat. So it's in the Museum of Western History, Western Film History at Lone Pine, California, which was our base when we shot this.
I've got your press kit in the khaki bag. Do you want it back?
It's yours, my friend.
Way back there, the black hat.
What inspired the design for the
A few lines in the script, and we can't take a lot of credit for it. Gail Ann Hurd, our executive producer, another person that Nancy Roberts brought into the mix. She was already very successful working with James Cameron on a number of movies. Came out of the Roger Corman School, if you know Roger Corman's films. And Gail knew Tom Woodruff and Alec Gillis, who were just then forming Amalgamated Dynamics, their company that went on to be multi-Academy Award. In fact, almost everybody except me has become multi-Academy Award.
Oh.
Two of us. I hate to say it, but we'll have three.
But Gail Ann brought Tom and Alec in, and the script had a few lines. The script was very specific about the mouth. It said it had three pieces and it opened like a grotesque flower. But that's pretty much all they had to go on. And Tom and Alec were amazing designers. And the very first sketch they brought us, which I still have, we just fell over. We said, my God, it's a graboid! It is very much what you see in the movie, and it's coming up, hurled out of the ground like that.
Yeah.
And the design was had very little changes, went straight on through the movie theater and built the thing. And they're all built full scale, except for there are some quarter scale ones in there too, miniatures, but that's where it came from, Tom and Alan.
I will say that Tom and Alec were invited to be here. Both of them had plans they couldn't get away, but if this is an annual thing.
Yeah!
It's a real kick when Tom and Alec bring their outtake reels from the shop. What else? Oh my goodness, so many people. Back there, somebody. I can hear.
What scene did we film first was the question.
The first scene was meeting Rhonda off the road.
Oh.
And that was a snowy day.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
today?
The very first scene is the Jeep going off the road with Val turning. And then the next few shots were Val and Earl meeting up. I saw a question up there.
Yes, was there an issue with the original design of the grab?
Yeah, Zoran!
So now we have people who know all that.
Yeah.
The very, very first design that Tom and Alex brought us had a kind of a covering on the beak of the creature. The skin of the creature folded over the front of the beak. When Gail Ann Hurst saw those drawings, she said, "No way." Oh gosh, people everywhere. Here, Levi.
Oh, I was hoping him. So if you notice, there's a ton of fencing in the movie. The beginning of the movie starts with Val doing the fence. They end up having to run, and then the fence breaks. People think, oh, where do the pole vaults come from? Oh, they're actually the fence. And then Rhonda gets caught up in the barbed wire fence. Is all this fencing intentional? Like, it's like...
That was more just looking for problems and solutions. It was our production designer, Ivo Costanti, who said, look, 20-foot fence posts. Isn't that handy?
Go, Evo.
The landscape, I can attest. There's cattle fencing everywhere.
Yes.
What was the graboid guts made of?
What was the graboid guts made of was the question.
Well, I guess I'm the guy. Lots of different things. Cans of pumpkin, a lot of what's called methicil, tinted orange. It's a sort of it's a biodegradable slime. Ultra slime is actually, there's a substance called ultra slime. Gelatin, and then bits of cloth. A lot of the intestines are just orange, slimy orange bits of cloth, and foam rubber. But it's all gross.
Were there any mistakes that ended up in the final cut?
Ooh. Ron.
For example, Kevin tried to pound in that staple, right? That one. I would love that. It takes him forever. On each side.
No, and in the end, because Earl did that one, your friend did that wonderful tape, they said, well, that's the tape. Not too much. Yeah.
Will Tremors 2 Aftershocks be remastered?
Ooh.
Will Tremors 2 Aftershocks be remastered?
Believe it or not, that is in the works right now.
Woo! Yes!
The Tremors 2 falls a number of years later, and the effects were done, some of the effects are digital, and we're not sure that all of the effects were up-res properly. So there may be some problems, but it is being seriously considered.
Yes.
Cool. Way back there.
So Michael, when you give Melvin the gun back, you check to make sure he doesn't able to, which a perfect gun owner would do, even though you knew it didn't have any guns, you want to make sure. Was that in the script, or did you do that on your own?
I honestly can't remember. I know that I had a lot of gun training because I'm not a gun person. Okay. I do own a firearm, but I'm not by any means an enthusiast. I did a lot of gun training prior to this, and always know. I mean, this has a lot to do with what's going on in New Mexico in the last year or so with that terrible tragedy right here in town with Alec Baldwin. Whenever somebody hands you a gun, wherever you pass a gun, you always open the action to make sure either it's loaded or it's not loaded. If somebody hands you a gun and says it's dead, it's cold, you check anyway. You don't trust anybody's word. So I learned a long time ago. I don't have a problem with guns on the set, real weapons. A lot of people have said, oh, they should be banned. I just think you have to respect them and do the right things. I was taught, for example, that if I have a gun in my hand that I know is unloaded, clean, if I set it down and turn my back and talk to Steve here, I come back to that gun and I should assume somebody else has touched it while my back was turned.
Good job.
And I check it again. So whenever a gun is handed to somebody, it's proper courtesy to open it up to show them that it's loaded or unloaded, and for them to look at it and check it. So I don't know. Maybe I just did that out of. I didn't remember doing that, but I just
Wow.
did a lot of training, and so maybe that's what I just did it spontaneously.
I didn't check it, obviously.
Somebody asked me, is Bert for gun control, and I say, well, he did tell Melvin there's some people who shouldn't have guns. I wouldn't give you a gun if it was World War III. and I am a great believer in that. I mean,
I'm working towards it. I'm still working towards it.
Why are we talking about World War III?
Why are we talking about World War III? That's right.
That's the next movie.
This question up there.
What were the white bubbles intended to be in the first graboid that got blown up by the pipe bomb? I've always been curious.
Wonder that too.
Good question. I'm amazed. I still answer questions on the Sandy website. I have not done it in a long time, but I promise I will start doing it again. In Tom and Alec's universe, those are pieces of intestine that have gotten filled up with air as a result of the explosion. I mean, this is the depth to which these guys think about this stuff. And yeah, that's what it's supposed to be, is the gases and so forth from the explosion that filled up some intestine with gas.
It's amazing you have an answer for that, though.
I spent a lot of time with Tom and Alec.
Way back there. Yes, sir.
So, in the first movie, they say, for all you know, they can fly. Were the later stages already kind of thought up? Did they already think maybe these things can change?
No, absolutely not at all. In fact, flying came from Tom and Alec. Much later. No, the movie did not do great. I always hate when people say it was a flop. It made its money back. It was not a flop. But it didn't do great. It didn't do what the studio thought it would do. I remember the head of Universal called me up about it's the second week and they said, well, they blew it. So they were disappointed. Kevin was disappointed. It was sad. We all moved on. It was years later before Tremors 2 came along, after the video revolution. So no, we had given no thought whatsoever. In fact, when they said, you know what, we gotta have Tremors 2 right now, we're like, what do we do? What do you mean? The graboids are all dead. No, all of that was invented later. I see a red-headed person.
Yes. This question's for Michael. What, out of the 7 movies, which one was your favorite to film?
Ooh.
Well, look, the first always has a. I had just come off of Family Ties, and people say you were America's favorite father. I was not. I was America's favorite Caucasian father. Bill Cosby was America's favorite father. He was number one. We were always the second run after the Cosby Show, and so it was just so exciting for me to even be considered for this, because Family Ties is in a sense what put me on the map. People knew me as that very nice Stephen Keaton, and so I was overjoyed to even have to be considered for this sort of thing, to be sent a script, thinking, why did these guys pick me? And so I was very grateful.
You rapped just like
few days before we started filming, didn't you, on Family Ties?
Right, Family Ties had its final, I think it was its wrap party just a few days before I began filming. So I was hired while I was still doing Family Ties, the final episodes in our 7th season, and well, I thought it was a privilege, and I still do. Burt Gummer is the gift that keeps giving. Yes.
First of all, I just wanted to say thank you guys for taking the time to come and do this. This was awesome. Brings back a lot of good memories. And I just wanted to know, where in the heck is Reba?
Reba is probably busy singing on some stage somewhere. She is hard to get a hold of. Absolutely. I would like nothing better than to have her at one of these things. We had such a good time. I just adored her freckles. And she has since said, "Oh Lord, I hated my hair and that and all that sort of thing." I thought she was adorable.
Correct. That's
And I will tell you one little thing. There's an ad lib in there. I don't know if you remember this. You know, when I had that fight with Kevin on the rock, you know, and he calls me String Bean. and I get angry when Reba says, I know, think he knows everything. That was an ad lib of Reba's, and I thought, ooh, that's right on.
Damn.
You know, I know, think he knows everything.
This is the person who, her very first line in any movie anywhere was Tremors, which was Stinks 2.
All right.
Yeah, we just fell over when she did that.
She was just wonderful, up for anything. You know, she was just one of the gang. She loved it.
There's a question.
So, over the course of the movies, Burt, at the risk of sounding like Alan Alda, Burt evolves. He's as close to a human antagonist as there is in the first movie. He goes to the depths of depression and rises out in the second movie, and then gradually becomes a father figure and mentor to a series of characters. How much of that is driven by the writers? How much of it is driven by the actor?
Damn.
Should I answer that?
That was a good question.
I've always felt, particularly in the following films, I've always felt that Burt is a very noble character. He can be an SOB. He can be. He has his own way of doing things, absolutely, and his way is the right way. And but one of the things I've always loved about him, and particularly in the later films where I saw more and more of this, was he will give somebody advice, they do not follow it, and yet he comes to their rescue.
Oh, yeah.
He'll say, these people are idiots, they're fools, they did not know what I said, by God, I'm going to save their asses. And that's one of the things I've always loved about him. I think in some ways there's a kind of nobility about the guy.
Oh, I didn't fully answer the question.
From our perspective, what happened when we got the opportunity to do additional films, is Michael became, a partner in this because he nailed the character in the first film, and then he would come to us with notes and questions, and he did research on survivalists, and so it was, and then from our perspective, there was always a desire to expand the characters, to change things, to keep the surprises coming in the movie. But Michael became very much a part of that process as we went along, coming into the script even on shooting days, little marks on the edges of the script. Steve, if Burt said this, do you think it would be funnier? Yes.
They were very patient with me, let's put it that way.
Down in the corner.
You go third movie, when Burt got swallowed by the graboid, how did you come up with tying that into the sixth one when you got the seed?
Say again? Oh, you want to know this? I don't know the answer.
Yeah. No, this is maybe somebody who worked on 6 can tell you, because they worked on the first 4. The first 4, 5, 6, and 7 was done by a different team, and you'll hear more about that as the weekend goes on. And I don't know that there was an exact tie-in or a way to reflect that, but I thought that was absolutely brilliant that they had Bert swallowed, and you know, and Desert Jack coming along with his chainsaw, getting him out. That was, and you were just patient with me too, because I thought this is probably one of the most embarrassing things that ever happened to a man who thought he was fully prepared. And so I don't know. There was some line about, "I prefer we just keep this to ourselves." Yes, something like that, you know, because he was so embarrassed that this had happened to him. More than anything, it wasn't the fear of death. It was, well, like most actors, embarrassment in front of other people.
It was really Melvin's fault.
So I don't think there was a direct tie-in, unless somebody who did 6 may tell you that, because you'll see some of these people later. There are people here, producers and director of 5, 6, and 7, who will be here for those screenings.
Cool.
Over here. Oh, hey, Robert. Yes. So, in the Tremors TV series, since you're a realtor in that, did that drive you into realty, or you were into that beforehand?
That's pretty funny. No relation. I actually, true story, I was always, my older brother did a lot of acting back in like the 70s. He did a lot of movies. You know Billy Scott? Stephen Scott? Jerry Foster did a movie called Little Girl Lives Down the Lane. He did, with Hal Holbrook, he did a movie, a movie called That Certain Summer, many years ago. And he got into real estate, you know, after his acting career. And he was always like, "Hey, you gotta get into real estate stuff, you know." I'm like, "No, I'm making movies. I'm doing Wonder Years. I'm doing all kinds of good stuff." I said, "No, you gotta get into real estate." And so sure enough, that kind of carried over. To be honest, I think when I did the movie, I didn't know much about it, and then you kind of flash forward, you know, some evolution. Should I make something up for next time?
Do you have a favorite line or scene in the first movie?
Favorite line or scene? Well, I mean, just some of them are, these guys are so brilliant, okay? You and Brent. I mean, something as simple as cannon fuse. What's that? What's that for? My cannon. It needn't be a long line. It needn't be, you know, extended. It's so simple. What's that for? My cannon. It's very simple. Lovely stuff like that. I mean, I don't know that I have a favorite line. They just gave me so many great lines. It was hard to screw it up.
Her favorite line is you saying you broke into the wrong goddamn record.
Yeah. Well, yes, who can forget that?
We're just now allowed to say it.
Right, there's still...
She still calls them butt blasters.
I do not.
I know people who refuse to have their children call them by their proper name when they are butt blasters.
I want to thank you for putting my kids to sleep so much.
Well,
As a young mother,
my
it was
performances
amazing.
have put many people to sleep.
Every night
This is
for
not an
6 years,
exception.
they had to watch a Tremors film. So I just want to thank you for that.
Okay, so I've always wondered this. I know the movie came before what I'm about to say, but for me in my 40s, I could not see it in the theater. I saw it on TBS. So you always had the Atlanta Hawks hat, right? So that came first. But also on TBS was Atlanta Hawks basketball. So in my mind, they're always linked. Question is, for a character in Nevada, where, if anyone knows, where did that rock come from? Why the Atlanta Hawks hat?
I remember something of it, and maybe Ron can fill in things. I just said, I think he ought to have a ball cap of some sort, and I think it ought to be a sports team, and I think it ought to be Southern, and that's all I said. I said a Southern sports team cap of some sort with a visor. You know, it just makes sense out there with the, you know, with all that sun. And I don't know how we got the Hawks. Somebody went, I think they were the only ones who said, "Yeah, we'll send you 20 damn hats." Is that how it happened? Yeah. Well, I think they probably reached out to a bunch of teams, and the Atlanta Hawks were the only ones who responded.
I wanted 20 years, well, 30 years I waited for that. Worth it.
Why did you switch to the Cubs?
Well, because we did Tremors 6 in 1917, in January of 1917, and in October of 20, sorry. Because we did Tremors 6 in 2017, January 2017, and a few months earlier, the Chicago Cubs, my hometown team, had won the National League, or the World Series for the first time in 108 years.
Wow.
And I went to the producers and I simply said, I've been wearing this damn Atlanta Hawks hat for so long, and it's like we give them free publicity. What do we get from them? Invited to a game, whatever. And I said, I love the Cubs. They won the World Series. Can I change caps? And they said, yeah, I guess why not? So that's pretty much what happened, right, Cher? So it was an homage to the Cubbies, and the producer of Tremors 5, 6, and 7 is right here. Cher, if you want to say hello, you'll hear more from her. Stand up, Cher. Cher was with Universal Home Entertainment, and she went, yeah, I guess he could wear a different cap. She was very patient.
It's all me.
Sorry in advance for this, but it's a recurring theme throughout every single film that they smell really bad. Do you guys have any idea in mind of what they smell like?
Ooh.
Rotten eggs? Dead bodies?
Yeah, the feeling was rotten eggs.
Rotten eggs?
That's what the doctor said.
I just need to know.
It's a pretty repulsive smell. And, yeah, the doctor refers to that. So that's what we want.
Can I say something just very quickly? Conrad Bachman, the actor who plays the doctor in this, is still alive. He's in his 90s. He would have come, but he lives in Louisville, Kentucky, and next Saturday is Derby Day. And he's very involved with the Derby. He and his sons have a lot to do with the Kentucky Derby. As a matter of fact, my wife and I spent the last Kentucky Derby with Conrad.
Nice.
In Louisville, Kentucky, and he couldn't make it this year. He said he's so close to Derby Day, and it's such a busy week. The whole Derby week is insane in Louisville. So maybe if there's another one,
Yeah.
he's still out there.
Did you hear her question?
No.
She wanted to know why the Dirt Devils were only in Tremors 4.
And why no one in the present day knows about the Dirt Devils. We attempted to answer that at the end of the movie. We have Hiram, my character, say, we must never speak of any of this to anyone. That was our attempt to explain why Eleanor were not pre-warned what was going on around here. There's one way back there.
So, it's kind of confusing. In 3, they hadn't seen any graboids for a number of years, yet there was what can only be described as a horde of shriekers in the very beginning. Where did all those come from?
I believe those are down in Mexico.
You said 3, right? You meant 2. 2 were the Shriekers and 3 were the
Well, no,
Athletes.
he's talking about the onslaught of Shriekers in the opening of 3. where you
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, who can forget that? Yeah.
Yeah, the logic was that it was a very rural area, the graboids hatched, turned into Shriekers, and Lit Berserk was on hand to take out the Shriekers.
There you go.
Right here.
Yeah, just thank you all for being here. I appreciate it a lot, and I know everybody does. I'm curious what the experience is for you all who have a movie come out. It's very successful on home video, and so many of you have put out projects that go straight to video, whether it's the Tremors series, whether it's Family Ties. I watched Mighty Joe Young on VHS
Yes.
a bunch of times when I was a kid. I never saw it in theaters, but I loved it. What's the experience like for you as performers when you know that the work you put out is kind of being funneled into people's homes and you don't really get to share in it as much as we do this weekend?
I mean, the theater experience is so special just because it makes things better when everybody responds. It's more fun. I love going to movies in theaters, and it's nice that people are going back to movie theaters.
It's a wonderful communal experience, and that I don't know, there's something about home entertainment centers and air conditioning and all those sorts of things that shut us into our homes, our private little cubicles, and I love the communal sense of motion pictures and movie theaters like Violet Crown, and I hope that never stops.
You know, I've been lucky enough to see a few movies I did in the movie theater. And there's nothing like it to sit with a bunch of people and hear them react to the things that you don't expect, like being in a theater or something. But I think also, to answer your question, I think there was a transition period, right, where going home video had a certain sort of designation than it does today. Today, that's how they do it. They release it broadly, and it's accepted. I mean, my kids are like, go to movie theaters, what are you talking about? Let's watch it at home, Dad. Like, why would you go all the way to the theater? But I personally just want to thank all you guys for being here tonight, because it's really special to come back and sit here and watch this movie and
Thank you all. We have to wrap it up.
Wrapping it up. Thank you, everyone. I'm sure we didn't get all the questions, but we're here all I am.
Tremors 2 will be 11 a.m. tomorrow, right here.
11 a.m. Tremors 2.
Woo! Thank you!